intense. The first part of the readings with the last time, because of the freaking sensors didn't want to work. I'm like trying to like keep myself from getting frustrated, and at the same time I was like so frustrated, and I was like, oh, like I need you to work, and that's okay. I think that's something that I've learned over the years, and I figured this out in the beginning stages. We're always like, oh, we need to like make content, or we need to make videos, or this or that. And when I first started making videos, I would record, and then I would have messed up something, or something that didn't record properly, or something. It was like an ongoing theme, and it would just be so challenging, because I'm like, here I am trying to do this one thing, and it's taking me like 5 hours to do one thing that takes like less than 5 minutes to make. And it would just like piss me off, because I'm like, oh my God, all this effort and all this work, and then it wouldn't come out right. Now, like when that happens, because it happens, whenever I really want to do something, and I'm throwing myself into it, in the beginning, there's always this pushback. And I actually call it the slapback effect. And for those of you who do not know what that means, whenever you are trying to focus on creating something or producing something in this world, and you really care about what it is, sometimes when you really try to push for it, you might get an immediate slap back, where something doesn't go the way it was expected, or something just falls through, or something doesn't happen. That doesn't mean you stop trying. It just means that you have resistance built up around it. There's a part of you in your brain, there's a part of you that believes that you can't achieve that, or you can't do that, or you can't accomplish that, or whatever. And so that part of you is probably a conditioned perspective from when we were children. So when that shows up, don't give up. Just say, try to like pull yourself back a little bit and say, I'm going to do this no matter what. And so like when I was trying to get the sensors to work and to cooperate with me, I was like, ooh, I'm like really late, because it was already getting to like 7:30. And I was like, oh my God, it's like 30 minutes before I even started. And the Wednesday when I did it, it was not that challenging. Like they triggered and went on really easily. So it was a little bit frustrating. But I was like, screw it. If it takes me 30 minutes to get this right and everybody's watching me wondering what the hell's going on, so be it. I'm going to do it, because I've set my mind that this is what I'm going to achieve, or this is what I'm going to do. So Fred Robbins, like, you're reminding me of a lady adjusting curlers. I'm glad you got it to work. Yeah, I'm so glad too. And that, you know what? That was the first model. There's like 3 or 4 models now. And so, I honestly think I want one that doesn't require like the liquid. I think I want one that I would rather have one with gel, or just one that doesn't require any liquid at all, and it just automatically picks up on stuff. But that's fine. It is what it is. I don't feel like spending that much money right now, because those things are expensive. Like I said, I got mine's like at like half the cost of what it costs online, and it's almost $1,000. So I was like, ugh. So I was already like, eh. And that was like, again, the first model that they came out with, and then they came out with a second model and a third model, and I was like, no, hombre, I'm not gonna do it. So, but that's what we have to do, right, y'all? We have to push ourselves through those moments where something just gets in our way, or it's like, well, sorry, you wanted this, let me make it a little bit extra hard. So what you do is you just have to push through it no matter what. And instead of like stopping and like, why does the universe keep doing this to me, or why does this keep happening to me, or this always happens to me, instead of perpetuating the energy state that supports those reflections, or those events to keep perpetuating, to keep continuing, you just say, it is what it is. I'm gonna keep muscle through. I'm gonna muscle through no matter what. And so you just have to keep doing it. You just have to keep pushing through it. So, I know, yeah, never give up. Absolutely. No, I can't. The only time I gave up, let me tell you this, the only time I gave up when I didn't want to give up was when I was trying to leave Starbucks, and I was applying to all these companies and trying to find a management position within these companies, and nothing was working. And I was like, oh my God, like, what are you trying to tell me? What are you trying to tell me? And I kept pushing, and I kept going to interviews, and I kept getting just up to a certain point, and then something would be changed. And I said, you know what? The only thing, I don't know what else to do. And my last hope is just to focus on my business. That's why I ended up focusing on my business and focusing on building up my profession, because that's all I had left. Like, I literally had tried every single thing else, and I kept trying. When you keep trying something and it just will not work, but you've been trying for a while, that's a sign, that's a message from the universe saying, okay, it's enough. This is not the path. turn around, go the other way. And with that, that's what it was. It was a sign to not go down that direction. So I ended up doing this instead, and then this actually became my full-time job. And I'm so happy that I made that decision because it helped me to be able to do this full-time instead of finding just another job that was going to pay me a crappy wage and not being able and take away time and energy from being able to do this full-time. So that's what that's about, right? So, all right, guys. So for those of you tuning in, I'm not doing readings, y'all. So if you're tuning in, hoping for a reading, that was in the last hour and a half. Now is our study group time. So I'm actually going to be reading and we're going to be discussing the material itself. If you ask me for a reading, unfortunately, I'm not doing them now. That was in the last hour. So you'll have to come back next Wednesday or you'll have to come or next Friday because I'll be doing them then. Okay. So I love you all. And I'm sorry that those of you tuned in and didn't get a reading, but try again next time. Okay. All right, let me go through here because I want to see if any of you were asking about that. So we're reading Conversations with God, which is actually one of my favorite books, if not my favorite book. And so that's what we're going to be going through. Yeah, so there's no new questions. Okay, so that's what we're going to be going through. So I'm going to pick up where we left off last time, and then I'm going to stop, and then I'm going to discuss some things about that as well. We're not going to do a very long study group today because I went so long in the readings, with doing the readings, and then because I was so late to start, it's just like, and I still got to make dinner, and I still got to like go and spend time with my partner, so I'm not going to eat into that. So I'm just going to do a little bit, not too much, but I'll make it juicy. I'll make it juicy, okay? All right, let's go over here. So the last time we were on page 53, and I have the bigger book, so I have the full book with it's got all the the three separate books together. So they were going back and forth, and it's Neil Donald Walsh and it's God, and they're both having this conversation. And so when I'm speaking as Neil, I will say Neil, and then I'll read his part, and then when it's God, I'll say God, and then I'll read that part. Okay, got it. So in this part, what's happening here is that Neil is basically asking God, like, why are all your messengers killed? Like, why are all the saints and all of the spiritual messengers and spiritual masters and all of these peeps, why are they killed or crucified? And he's asking God, if you keep sending on these messengers, why do they keep getting killed if you're like supposed to be sending them, right? So that's where they left off here. But why? Neil, but why? Why do we kill the holiest among us? We kill them or dishonor them, which is the same thing. Why? God, because they stand against every thought you have that would deny me. And deny me you must if you are to deny yourself. Neil, why would I want to deny you or me? God, because you are afraid and because my promises are too good to be true, because you cannot accept the grandest truth, and so you must reduce yourself to a spirituality which teaches fear and dependence and intolerance, rather than love and power and acceptance. You are filled with fear, and your biggest fear is that my biggest promise might be life's biggest lie. And so you create the biggest fantasy you can to defend the power and guarantees you... Wait, let's go back because I lost my place there. And so you create the biggest promise which gives you the power and guarantees you the love of God must be the false promise of the devil. God would never make such a promise. You tell yourself. Only the devil would, to tempt you into denying God's true identity as the fearsome, judgmental, jealous, vengeful, and punishing entity of entities. Even though this description better fits the definition of a devil if there were one. You have assigned devilish characteristics to God in order to convince yourself not to accept the godlike promises of your Creator or the godlike qualities of the self. Such is the power of fear. Neil, I am trying to let go of my fear. Will you tell me again more of the laws? And God was telling Neil about these universal laws or these spiritual laws. So he's asking him, like, tell me the laws. Neil, I am trying to let go of my fear. Will you tell me again more of the laws? God, the first law is that you can be, do, and have whatever you can imagine. The second law is that you attract what you fear. Neil, what is that? God, emotion. Emotion is the power which attracts. That which you fear strongly, you will experience. An animal which you consider a lower form of life, even though animals act with more integrity and greater consistency than humans, knows immediately if you are afraid of it. Plants, which you consider an even lower form of life, respond to people who love them far better than those who couldn't care less. Make sure you go. Yeah. None of this is by coincidence. There is no coincidence in the universe. Only a grand... Oh, shoot. What happened here? Hold on a second, guys. What did I just do? Okay, cool. I was like, oh my God, what happened here? None of this is by coincidence. There is no coincidence in the universe. Only a grand design, an incredible snowflake. Emotion is energy in motion. When you move energy, you create effect. If you move enough energy, you create matter. Matter is energy, conglomerated, moved around, shoved together. If you manipulate energy long enough in a certain way, you get matter. Every master understands this law. It is the alchemy of the universe. It is the secret of all life. Thought is pure energy. Every thought you have ever had, and ever will have is creative. The energy of your thought never ever dies, ever. It leaves your being and heads out into the universe, extending forever. A thought is forever. All thoughts congeal. All thoughts meet other thoughts, crisscrossing in an incredible maze of energy, forming an ever-changing pattern of unspeakable beauty and unbelievable complexity. Like energy attracts like energy, forming, to use simple words, clumps of energy of like kind. When energy-similar clumps crisscross each other, run into each other, they stick to each other. To use another simple term, it takes an incomprehensible huge amount of similar energy sticking together, thusly to form matter. But matter will form out of pure energy. In fact, that is the only way it can form. Once energy becomes matter, it remains matter for a very long time, unless its construction is disrupted by an opposing or dissimilar form of energy. This dissimilar energy acting upon matter actually dismembers the matter, releasing the raw energy of which it was composed. This is, in elementary terms, the theory behind your atomic bomb. Einstein came closer to any other human before or since to discovering, explaining, and functionalizing the creative secret of the universe. You should now better understand how people of like mind can work together to create a favored reality. The phrase, wherever two or more are gathered in my name, becomes much more meaningful. Of course, when entire societies think a certain way, very often astonishing things happen, not all of them necessarily desirable. For instance, a society living in fear very often actually inevitably produces in form that which it fears most. Singularly, large communities or congregations often find miracle-producing power in combined thinking, or what some people call common prayer. And it must be made clear that even individuals, if their thought, prayer, hope, wish, dream, fear, is amazingly strong, can in and of themselves produce such results. Jesus did this regularly. He understood how to manipulate energy and matter, how to rearrange it, how to redistribute it, how to utterly control it. Many masters have known this. Many know it now. You can know it right now. This is the knowledge of good and evil, of which Adam and Eve partook. Until they understood this, there could be no life as you know it. Adam and Eve, the mythical names you have given to represent first man and first woman, were the father and mother of the human experience. What has been described as the fall of Adam was actually his upliftment, the greatest single event in human history of humankind. For without it, the world of relativity would not exist. The act of Adam and Eve was not original sin, but in truth, first blessing. You should thank them from the bottom of your hearts, for in being the first to make a wrong choice, Adam and Eve produced the possibility of making any choice at all. In your mythology, you have made Eve the bad one here, the temptress who ate of the fruit, the knowledge of good and evil, and coyly invited Adam to join her. This mythological setup has allowed you to make women man's downfall ever since, resulting in all manner of warped realities, not to mention distorted sexual views and confusions. How can you feel so good about something so bad? What you must fear is what will most plague you. Fear will draw it to you like a magnet. All your holy scriptures of every religious persecution and tradition which you have created contain the clear admonition, fear not. Do you think this is by accident? The laws are very simple. Thought is creative. Fear attracts like energy. Love is all there is. Neil, oops, you got me on that third one. How can love be all there is if fear attracts like energy? God, love is the ultimate reality. It is the only, the all. The feeling of love is your experience of God. In the highest truth, love is all there is, all there was, and all there ever will be. When you move into the absolute, you move into love. The realm of the relative was created in order that I might experience myself. This has already been explained to you. This does not make the realm of the relative real. It is a created reality you and I have devised and continue to devise in order that we may know ourselves experientially. Yet the creation can seem very real. Its purpose is to seem so real that we accept it as truly existing. In this way, God has contrived to create something else other than itself. Though in strictest terms, this is impossible since God is, I am, all that is. In creating something else, namely the realm of the relative, I have produced an environment in which you may choose to be God, rather than simply be told that you are God, in which you may experience Godhead as an act of creation, rather than a conceptualization, in which the little candle in the sun, the littlest soul, can know itself as the light. Fear is the other end of love. It is the primal polarity. In creating the realm of the relative, I first created the opposite of myself. Now, in the realm in which you live on the physical plane, there are only two places of being, fear and love. Thoughts rooted in fear will produce one kind of manifestation on the physical plane. Thoughts rooted in love will produce another. The masters who have walked the planet are those who have discovered the secret of the relative world and refuse to acknowledge its reality. In short, masters are those who have chosen only love. In every instance, in every moment, in every circumstance, even as they were being killed, they loved their murderers. Even as they were being persecuted, they loved their oppressors. This is very difficult for you to understand, much less emulate. Nevertheless, it is what every master has ever done. It doesn't matter what the philosophy, it doesn't matter what the tradition, it does not matter what the religion. It is what every master has done. This example and this lesson have been laid out so clearly for you. Time and time again, over and over, has it been shown to you, through all the ages and in every place, through all your lifetimes and in every moment. The universe has used every contrivance to place this truth before you, in song and story, in poetry and dance, in words and in motion, in pictures of motion, which you call motion pictures, and in collections of words, which you call books. From the highest mountain it has been shouted, in the lowest place its whisper has been heard. Through the corridors of all human experience has this truth been echoed. Love is the answer, yet you have not listened. Now come you to this book, asking God again what God has told you countless times in countless ways. Yet I will tell you again, here in the context of this book, will you listen now? Will you truly hear? What do you think brought you to this material? How does it come to pass that you are holding it in your hands? Do you think I know what I am doing? Do you think I know not what I am doing? There are no coincidences in the universe. I have heard the crying of your heart. I have seen the searching of your soul. I know how deeply you have desired the truth. In pain, you have called out for it, and in joy, unending have you beseeched me. Show myself, explain myself, reveal myself. I am doing so here in terms so plain you cannot misunderstand, in language so simple you cannot be confused, in vocabulary so common you cannot get lost in the verbiage. So go ahead now, ask me anything. I will contrive to bringing you the answer. The whole universe will I use to do this. So be on the lookout. This book is far from my only tool. You may ask a question, then put this book down. But watch, listen, the words to the next song you hear, the information in the next article you read, the storyline of the next movie you watch, the chance utterance of the next person you meet, or the whisper of the next river, and the next ocean, the next breeze that caresses your ear. All these devices are mine. All these avenues are open to me. I will speak to you if you will listen. I will come to you if you will invite me. I will show you then that I have always been there. Always. That's the end of that chapter. All right, so let's talk about that for a second. This is so interesting because even just that last part with God going on a tangent, because, God's a little bit dramatic there. So she likes to make a point. But the idea that it is available to us is not a new idea. And this is actually something that I learned a long time ago, and it took me a while to put into practice because I always believed that everything was so mysterious. Oh, we can't know the answer to that. I mean, I remember in like when I first went to catechism class, and they were talking to us about like the story of Noah and all of that other stuff. And I was like, hey, how did all the animals fit in that boat? How did every animal, two of each animal, fit into that boat? And I remember the response that I got. Oh, well, we're not allowed to know everything, and that's not something that has been revealed by God yet. Like, okay, like what you waiting for? This is like we're 2,000 years into it, 3,000 years into it. Come on. So like, this is like, no, I don't think so. When I decided that I was just going to have a direct relationship with God, which I think every person should have a direct relationship with God, not because they're worthy of that or because they need to be, they need to be unique or special. I think every person should have a relationship with God because it's important for us to understand the love that's available to us, to remember who we are. And the only way we can remember who we are is by engaging the part of us that exists within the higher aspect or the higher perspective. And that's God, because we're all God, right? We're all God in human form. So when you assume or when you accept and embrace that, and you embrace the reality of that in your life, nothing is closed to you. Nothing is kept from you. I've gotten really spoiled because since I began having a personal one-on-one relationship with God, and I'm not talking about the God of the Bible. I'm not talking about the God of this religion or that religion. I am talking about God. I'm talking about the source of all of that, because those are pale comparisons and pale understandings to the divine. They are, because they are man-made. They are men's attempts, and I say men because there weren't a lot of women that contributed to those stories, into those passages, into those books. These are males' attempts to try to understand the divine, and they did it through the best way possible, through their filters, through their experiences, etc. So if they can do it, I can do it too, right? And I accepted that years ago. And since I accepted that, I find that I have the unique opportunity to simply have a question in my mind about something, and then I wait. And I trust and I have faith that that the answer will be made clear, or that I will understand what I need to know. And then something will happen and the answer is brought to me. So I now am so used to having this insight or being able to receive knowledge, even if it's not coming through myself and it's coming through someone else, because sometimes I'm hard-headed and I don't always get the information directly, but it's going to come to me in some way. So just having that faith and having that level of, trust in the process, I know that the moment I have a question, the question isn't just in my mind. The question is God's question, because I am a reflection of Source. I am the expression of Source. I am the physical component of God here, as we all are. So when I have a question, I'm not having that question. The question exists within God through me. And so it is a piece of knowledge and awareness that I'm going to receive. So I'm kind of being prepared for the answer by having the question arise within me to begin with. And the reason why the question arises within me to begin with is because I've given myself over to the process of understanding the depths of all that there is. So I don't believe that anything is withheld from me or I can't know something. I absolutely 100% believe that I can know everything. And so it's just a matter of being patient and waiting for God to reveal itself to me through that experience or through that form or through that knowledge. And it does. It comes to me, and it comes to me every single time. It either comes to me through direct knowledge between me and Aja and God, or it comes through the experiences that I have with people, or it comes through a book that I received or that I'm given, or it comes through, so it comes through different avenues, but I'm open to the answer and I will receive it in some way. And it's important that you do the same thing, because if you trust that you are allowed to have the question, then you can receive the answer and you will receive it. But you have to see yourself as not just worthy, you're God in human form. Why wouldn't you be worthy? You are Source in expression. Why would you not be entitled to creation's miracles? Why would you not be entitled to all that creation has to offer you? Just because we're in human form and in physical form and we have to go through the experience of suffering here doesn't necessarily mean that we still can't embrace and experience this godly knowledge and this wisdom and this awareness. We don't have to wait till we're dead to have that. We can just embrace and accept the fact that it's available to us now. And this is something that we've been told over and over and over again by masters before us. Seeking you shall find, knocking it shall be open to you. And it is, but you have to trust that you are worthy of it. And not only that you're worthy of it, that you are actually the creator of it, being Source in form. So that's why I think it's so important that we trust the process and we ask the questions. Ask the questions, because by asking the question, the answers will come. And then you can share that with everybody else. And then you can help enlighten people. You can help give them understanding through your unique perspective as well. Okay? Let me jump around here. I'm going to answer a couple of questions and I'm going to jump off because I'm out of time as well. So let's see. Justin Curlers. Let's see. Never give up. Yep. Let's see. Just leave that. Practical magic priestess. You have to see the children's book, The Little Sun and the Little Soul and the Sun, and The Little Soul and the Earth. I read both of those to my son and my spiritual groups. It's the children's version of this. Yes, I know. I bought the Little Soul and the Earth. I bought that book a long time ago. I bought it for my niece because I helped to raise my niece. I was like the nanny when I was younger. It was right after high school. So it was like my first year out of high school. I took a year off. I didn't go to school. And I became like a nanny for one of my cousins. And so I basically was with the baby from like sun up to sundown until the parents got home. And so I helped to raise her. I was there when she took her first walk. I'm in the picture when she took her first walk. But I wanted her to understand these things early on. So I bought that book for her. And this was in 2001, 2002. This is how long I've been doing this, y'all. This is how long I've been like obsessed with all of this information and wisdom. I had already read this book and I bought that book and I gave it to her as a gift so that when she started to learn how to read, she had this book and she actually did. She would read it and she told me she would read it when she was a little kid. So yeah, I love it. I love it. Yeah. So yeah, those are really good books. I think if we were taught how to be compassionate teachers and people earlier on in life, even as kids in school, I think that this world will be an amazing place. I really do. Not to say that it ever will get to that ideal point, because we come here for the drama. We come here for the human struggle and experience. emotion, energy in motion. It is the law of manifestation. It is. A lot of people get so hooked on The Secret when they watch The Secret. They get really caught up in like making things or attracting things or manifesting things. It's really not about things. It's the process of creating. We are creator in form. So when we have the experience of thinking and emotionizing and physically acting in honor of that, then we see the benefit of our creation. We see the creation come to form. In our higher form, in our spirit form, it's kind of like an instantaneous thing, but it's not the exact identical thing as it is here. It's a very different experience there, but it's the process of learning or just having that ability to create and to produce. It's quite miraculous, and that's why we come here. We come here to experience ourselves as a creator as well, and that's what I think they were talking about there as well. Red Robin, I have often wondered about the energy that brings flesh to life. Oh, we talked about Adam and Eve and the gift. Yes, we did. We talked about it last time. It's funny because I find myself sometimes when I'm reading books, I tend to get ahead of myself and I start bringing up topics or examples. And I bring up topics and examples. And it's before we've gotten to that part in the book, even though I don't really remember all of the pieces in this book because it's been so long since I read it. But it's like, that's the thing about me. When I read something very spiritually like transformative, I don't need to read it like every single day. Like, I don't even need to memorize every single line. It's as if when I read it, it's like it becomes integrated into my system and it starts to represent itself or starts to show up in my life in an example. And then I get it and I totally understand it. So, and you would never guess that I only read this book like 2 or 3 times. Like you would think I read this like 25, 30 times. I only read this book like 2 or 3 times. And most of those times, I think twice I read it back in like the early 2000s. And then once I think in the early, like in like 2007 or 2008. So it's been a long time since I've read this book. It's not fresh in my memory, but still I think so. Red Robin, the smallest being can see the flame. I like that. Yes. Let's see. Okay, so that's all for there. And let's go over here. These are all personal readings. So I'm trying to get through to see if anyone has any questions about the topic or material. Hey, Steven. Juliana. I have so much love to give and believe that I will get hired in a sweet remote sales role. I accept it as is, although it has taken time. It will happen. My question is, what awesome company? Well, that's a personal reading, girl. You're like trying to drag in that personal reading, aren't you? All right, that's it. That's all the questions. All right, guys, I love you all. It's time for me to go make dinner because I've been working since this morning, so it's time to take my break. So I love you all, and I will see y'all